Okay, after my first video where I actually showed my friends how I create old school acid techno, I got some feedback from a few of my friends, and they were like, "Hey Sean, you're showing us the video, but we want to know how you program these machines." So I was trying to tell them, but I went a little bit too much into detail, and they could not visualize it. So they asked me, "Can you please make another video where you can show it?" Of course I can do that, but since okay, since I'm not a professional YouTube guy, I'm not really good in filming and that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, I will show you, but very fast. So that's why I will start right now. Okay, here we go. We have three elements here. We have, I don't know if you can see it, we have here the RD-9. That's a drum computer. It's a clone of the famous Roland TR-909. Then we have the TD-3, which is a clone of the famous Roland TB-303. And we have here like a semi-modular synth called the Crave. All of these devices are manufactured by Behringer. I say it in Dutch, which is Behringer, I guess. And these are all clones, and they are very cheap. Because back in the days, we had no money to buy this kind of devices. Because they were so expensive if you are, let's say, a kid of 16 years old who wants to make some techno music. So what we did back then, we were using software on an Amiga computer. You know, so we just sampled with a very small simple interface, which you could connect to this Amiga computer, and you could make quite nice 16-bit samples with it. And we sampled everything we could find, and with that, we were actually making some nice techno tunes. You know, so we were just sampling the steps from existed records. The kick from the 909, I just sampled it from another techno record. So when you find a spot where things are quite clean, just sample it, you know, and you can use it as a kick. And you have immediately a very good one, you know. However, I can talk what I want, but I need to show how I program this stuff and make from scratch a techno track. Or acid techno, actually. So the first thing I always do, I always make the bass line. But in this, let's say, explanation video, I will start with the kick. It's just a very standard 4x4 kick. So let's check it. I already fine-tuned it a little bit. I can give it a little bit more depth. Actually, I fancy the previous kick, but I'm not recording this with an audio interface or something. Everything is recording into the audio of the camera, so the quality is not that good. So let's take a kick that is hearable. I changed the BPM, which stands for beats per minute, to 120 BPM. That's actually a tempo which I always liked back in the days. Then I program on each four steps one kick, and then you have, oh sorry, I need to record it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There you have 4 simple bass kicks, like everyone knows. I keep this one dry. Of course I can add some fancy effects to it, but Personal, I love him dry. So now we got the kick. At this moment I will mute the kick because I will start now with the bass line. The kick is actually something I use as a metronome. That's why I always start with the kick here. So then the fancy part starts, and that's the bass line. And I have no plan, I have no idea. I just do it randomly, and we will see what kind of bass line we get. Okay, so let's see if there's already something. Yeah, there is already something. So the first thing I do, I will clear this slot 1 on my bassline synthesizer, and then I make the steps. I will not go into detail because there's a lot of videos on YouTube where they explain how exactly you program a bassline on the TD3 or TB303 or whatever clone you have. So I just do it very fast. Okay, it's going to be a 16-step sequence. Okay, so it sounds like this. Okay, very boring, isn't it? So the next step, we are going to add some flavor to it. So let's change the pitch and make a little bit of melody. I have no idea, I just press some buttons and we will see what happens. Oh. Something like that. Okay, let's check it. Okay, let's add some more flavor to it. So we have now the basic bass line. It's nothing special, but it's funky. And what we do now, we are going to add some accents and slides. Just randomly, I just press some of those things. And then we got this. Okay, it sounds interesting. Okay. Okay, I like this. Okay, I personally like it. I mean, we can add some more flavor to it. Yeah, let's add some more flavor to it because it's not going to be a serious track. It's just, yeah, for demonstration purpose. So I add a little bit more flavor to it by pitching a couple of notes up and down. Let's see. There you go. Ooh. Perfect. Not a bad idea to do that. This is really funky. So now we have the typical acid bass line. Very fast, as you could see. I will skip let's say the additional synthesizer which I have here, because otherwise the video will be a bit too long, and since we are already at 10 minutes almost, I have to finish it. So okay, so this is how I do it. So we have the bass line and we we have the kick, so let's add them together. They already are in sync because I have a MIDI sync on all these devices, so everyone has the same tempo, and I use the drum computer as the master, and the other two are slaves. So, okay, let's add the kick to it. Yeah, here we go. Very, very basic old school techno. Acid techno. And then you tweak with those knobs over here. So you can mess around with the envelope, the decay, the resonance and the cutoff. So let's put the cutoff a little bit down. Put the envelope up. Put the resonance up, and then you can get this really steady sound. And if I add some more accent, it's going to be really steady. Okay, so that's a little bit how you can mess around with it. I have a lot of effects in my multi-effect processor over here. So I can add a lot of effects to it, like distortion, flanger, reverb. I already add a reverb to it because I use the drum machine dry. Because if I put the reverb on everything, it sounds not really, let's say, solid. So I always try to keep at least one of the instruments a little bit dry. And this one can be liquid as liquid. Okay, so we have the kick, we have the bass line, and now we are adding some drums, and we have, let's say, a couple of minutes left, so we are going to make a very fast track. So we have the drum kick over there. Okay, maybe I will just program on the fly. So this is how the track starts, you know. And then we are going to add some open hi-hats to it. There you go. So you already have the flow. We can of course give it some swing. So now it swings a little bit more. And of course the famous 909 clap to make it techno. And there you go. So these are, let's say, the basic ingredients a little bit. You can add a snare. I mean, it's only one pattern, but let's add a snare to it. There you go. At the end, a small little snare. And then what you do is basically tweaking and try to create a story with the sound of the bass line. Around with mute and unmute drum elements. That's what you do actually. That's it. This is really basic. Okay, sorry. that's what you do. This is Acid. It's very basic. You have your drum computer, you have your bass line. So you have a drum kit and you have a bass guitar. That's it. And it's funky. Liquid funk. And of course you can add much more instruments to it. You can use a sampler, you can use multiple synths. I'm using here a mono synth, actually both, because I ordered another synth, so I'm waiting for one extra device because I want to create a little bit more atmosphere. And I know with only this device, this little yellow box, I can create already a lot of atmosphere, you know. But I want to create a sub layer, and of course I have a lot of software, a sampler which I can use for that purpose. But since the synthesizers nowadays, especially those tabletop synthesizers, are so extremely cheap, you know, so that makes it very, very attractive to invest a little bit in hardware devices. Okay, so this is my explanation. I hope you understand it a little bit more, my dear friends. But if you want to have a little bit more in-depth explanation about how this sequencer works, how this sequencer works, or how that sequencer works, or how can you sequence all these devices with your DAW, name it, just come here to the Acid Bunker, and I'm I will be very happy to explain you every detail of what I'm doing here with those boxes. And with a little bit of luck, my new synthesizer will be there as well, so yeah. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'm afraid that I already passed the 15 minutes, so I'm not sure if this video will be